Welcome to the gas station, everybody. Your weekly fill-up for gaming and sports with your host, the GamerSutra. If you're on YouTube, shout out to you. If you're on my podcast, shout out to you. Let's sit back, man. Kick your feet up. Enjoy the vibes, man. It's just going to be a good time. Enjoy everything. Bob your head a little bit, man. Let's get into the podcast. Enjoy the vibes. I'll see you in a few minutes. What is going on, gas station family? Welcome back, man. This is my podcast, episode number 2. If you're on YouTube, shout out to you, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that little intro, man, that I made. And let's get right into it, man. College football week 2, or not week 2, I'm sorry. Wow, podcast number 2, week 2, whatever. But college football season is upon us. And yeah, man, I'm going to be bringing my picks of the week this week, but I'm going to do a little story time, man. I was on iTunes the other day, and I was browsing, and I come across the I Am Rappaport podcast. Guys, if you listen to podcasts and you like just good quality podcasts, funny podcasts, real podcasts, just about life in general, check my man Mike Rappaport out. It's the I Am Rappaport podcast, and yeah, I really think you're thoroughly gonna enjoy it. But I was listening to episode, I think it was like 206, and he was talking about him having a cat problem. And whenever I read the description of the podcast, I was like, a cat problem, really? Like, I'm not really understanding what he's meaning, but you got to listen to what he's saying. He was on a trip out of town, him and his wife or girlfriend. They came home from a long trip, wanted to come home, go to sleep. They were walking up to their house, and in their fountain, he was explaining it. He's got like a square fountain or something, and he was talking that there was dead cats in the fountain, like in the water, like somebody poisoned the water the cats were drinking out of it, and they were just dropping dead or some bullshit. He did a live recording of him finding these cats, like, or actually he found the cats, then he did like a reaction, like he was talking about it being like some pet cemetery type shit. But dude, this dude had me rolling about these cats, and it was so damn funny, man. Y'all need to go check out the podcast. It's the I Am Rappaport podcast. I hope this guy doesn't get mad at me for plugging him on my podcast, but I'm telling you what, it was absolutely hilarious. Just I can't even explain it, guys. Go check it out. Let's get into my podcast. Guys, I want to bring my week 4 picks to you guys. And the first game that I really want to talk about is a good matchup, man. It's that number 12 Georgia at the number 23 Ole Miss. This is make or break for Ole Miss, this game here. Ole Miss had Alabama on the ropes. They had Florida State on the ropes. They just can't close out games in the second half. I believe they had 20-point leads in both of them against my Noles and against Alabama. They lost them both. Hugh Freeze and Chad Kelly, this is the game against the Bulldogs that they have to find a way to finish the game. Football game is 4 quarters. Chad Kelly has to put these Rebels on his shoulders. He has to win this ball game. This is make or break for the Rebel season. Their schedule's not looking good after this game. Well, hell, it ain't been a cakewalk yet anyway, but Ole Miss, God, man, they have to win this football game. Chad Kelly, he's played great. He hasn't, he's still showing some flashes of just immaturity, But I mean, shit, he has 953 yards, 10 TDs. You know what I mean? It's not like he's playing bad. The defense is just folding. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And then on the other hand, you have Eason for Georgia. He hasn't played well. He's only got like 5 TDs. He threw 2 picks. They're relying on the running game with Nick Chubb, but I mean, he's only got 3 touchdowns, 71 carries, 365 yards. So they're relying heavily on the defense as well. I think a key to this game is Georgia. All their games this season has came from behind. Well, Ole Miss, what do they like to do? They like to blow leads. So this game right here to me is a toss-up. I am also going to run these 3 games as a parlay. And as of right now, Ole Miss was favored by 7. And I think the over and under line was like 62. But I'm not touching that. I'm going to take the Rebels by 7. And I actually look for the Rebels to actually put away an opponent this week. Them folding in the second half, they got to have enough of that bullshit. Hugh Freeze, Chad Kelly, they have to come prepared to finish a football game. On the other side, you got Isaiah McKenzie for the Bulldogs, hellacious wide receiver. 4 touchdowns, 305 yards already this season. Just going to be a great football game this week. They're playing at Ole Miss, and I think that's going to help. Ole Miss is 0-1 in the SEC. Georgia's 1-0. They're 3-0 on the year. But I think this is the week that the Ole Miss Rebels come back and win a football game. Let's get into my second pick. I'm going to go with, or I'm not going with them, but it's the game. Wisconsin, Michigan State. Wisconsin's 11th in the country. Michigan State's number 8. These two teams haven't played in 4 years. They're in the Big Ten, but they haven't played due to realignment, all that. It is what it is. But will this matchup rekindle this Big Ten rivalry? That's going to be the question this week. They're playing at Michigan State. They're playing in East Lansing. It's supposed to be great weather. The line is Mississippi State favored by 4.5. Defense, to me, is going to be the key of this ball game. This is going to be like a heavyweight fight, dude. Body blows, and then a showstopper, let it go from a distance. They're going to pound each other. Whoever can control the line of scrimmage in this football game is going to win the game. This is going to be another one of those toss-ups. It could go either way. I'm going to give the edge to Sparty because they're playing at home. Wisconsin, they're averaging 441 yards a game. Michigan State's averaging 431, so they're pretty equal on the offensive side. Defensively, Wisconsin, they win the stat line. They've only given up 261 yards a game. Michigan State's a little over 300 a game, but that doesn't matter. I think that Sparty and Michigan State, I really believe that they're going to shut them down this week. The defense who shows up in this one, they're going to win the game. I think I'm going to pick Sparty to win on this 3-game parlay that I'm going to give you. The line is 4.5. I'm taking Michigan State by 4.5. Now the big one, man. This is going to be a pretty good game. It's going to be interesting on Saturday. Florida at Tennessee. This contest is in the SEC. This should be a doozy of a game. The University of Florida, they won 12 straight against Tennessee. This has been one of those lopsided SEC contests. The Vols look to end this streak this weekend, and they got a good chance. Florida starting QB Del Rio, he's out of the offense, so the offense is going to be taken over by Austin Appleby. Appleby, if y'all guys remember, he came from Purdue, so he's not going to shy away from big games. He played against Michigan State. He played against the Wisconsins. He started games for the Boilermakers, so he's not going to just fold. Florida's going to rely on the run, but don't get excited or get it twisted, because Appleby can throw, and in a McElwain's offense, he's going to throw. It's just going to happen. Tennessee's a little bit banged up, but I guarantee you, Knoxville this weekend, they're going to be excited because they know the streak and they're ready to end it against the Gators. The Tennessee offensive line, man, to me is a little bit sketchy. They better protect Josh Dobbs because the Florida defensive line is going to get after him. They have to give him time to throw the ball. You know, he's got a talented receiver outside Malone, and if he has time, I honestly, I think that Tennessee's got a shot. You know, Florida counters with Callaway. You know, he's just a great receiver. Then you go to Jalen Hurd for Tennessee. You know, if the big bodies can block, Mr. Hurd's going to pound the rock against Florida. But, you know, the line is 6.5 favored for Tennessee to win this football game. And I think I'm going to pick Tennessee, or not Tennessee, but I think I'm going to pick Florida not to get beat by 6.5. You know, the key to that game is going to be the Tennessee offensive line. Can they protect Josh Dobbs? Can they give Hurd some running room? We've seen what he can do whenever he gets some holes. He's an explosive back. You know, he's got 270 yards, 2 touchdowns on the season. They've had a rough go with it. I just don't think that Applebee's going to be enough for Florida. With the Tennessee defense, the way they're playing, I just don't see it. You know what I mean? I honestly don't. And, you know, there's going to be some 3 notable games that are definitely going to be lookers. And I might actually take the last one that I'm going to give you. But let's keep in the SEC, Arkansas and Texas A&M. This game is going to be a good game, man. Arkansas 17, Texas A&M's ranked 10th. You know, it's going to be played in Arlington. And, you know, Trevor Knight for A&M, you know, he's got over 800 yards throwing, 5 TDs. Arkansas's got the running back, Raleigh Williams, you know, 354 yards, a couple of touchdowns. He might have more. I can't remember off the top of my head. This game, you know, Arkansas seems back, but they really haven't played anybody yet. We'll see. Texas A&M's favored by 6 in this game. If Josh Reynolds gets loose with Trevor Knight for Texas A&M, it could be a long day for the Razorbacks in Arlington. But that's just one to look forward to. Texas A&M's favored by 6. They are playing in Arlington. Arkansas is right there by them. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a home field advantage. Going to be a good football game. The over and under is 49.5. I actually might take that. I think defense is going to play a key role in this. And, you know, that's going to be a game to watch out for as well. Let's get into the next one. We'll go to the ACC. It's going to be Pitt and UNC. That, to me, is going to be a very, very, very good football team as well, or football game. You know, UNC is actually favored in this game. Pitt's been playing phenomenal lately, and I don't understand this. I'm going to take Pitt plus 7 in this matchup. It's going to be in Chapel Hill at UNC. I just think the Pitt's running game, I think their wide receivers, I think their defense is better than UNC's. UNC's offense is struggling just a tad bit, and I'm going to take Pitt plus 7. And, you know, I honestly don't understand why UNC's favored by a touchdown, but I'm going the other way, Pitt plus 7. All right, my last notable game of this week that I might actually run a separate parlay with the 2 prior games that I just said. This is going to be a doozy of a game. You got Stanford going to UCLA. It's playing in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. You got Rosen versus McCaffrey. You know, McCaffrey is just a beast, man. You know, he can run the ball. He can catch. He's got speed. He's smart. You know, it's just going to be one of those games that I think that UCLA, even though Rosen, you know, he's got 917 yards, 4 touchdowns. You know, he's got Darren Andrews on the outside. You know, this is going to be one of those games that's going to be a toss-up. You know, I think ESPN did an analysis, 56.3%, 56.3% to for UCLA to win. I just don't see that. I honestly think that Stanford with Burns and all these cats from Stanford, which Burns on as a quarterback, he relies too much on McCaffrey, but receiving, he's a threat, McCaffrey. And UCLA, they're explosive. Both teams are averaging around 26, 27 points a game. But the defense, man, the defense of Stanford has only given up 11.5 points a game. They give up 134 yards in the air and 203 on the rush. They're going to have to fix that a little bit. UCLA revolves a lot on the passing game. But, it's going to be a really good game. Stanford is favored by 3 in this game. I'm definitely taking that game. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. The Arkansas-Texas A&M game, I'm definitely taking A&M in that game. I'm going to take Pitt +7, and I think I'm going to take Stanford in the -3 in another 3-game parlay. In conjunction with the Georgia and Ole Miss, I'm taking Ole Miss. Wisconsin, Michigan State, where I'm taking Michigan State, and the Florida-Tennessee. I'm thinking Tennessee's gonna, or not Tennessee, but I think Florida's not gonna get beat by more than 6.5. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I told you guys I'm gonna keep them around, the 15 to 20 minute mark, and I'm gonna stick to that. You don't want to hear me ramble on for 45 minutes to an hour and 15, which I could. I love college football, but I'm going to keep it to around this minimum. Guys, I appreciate you swinging by my podcast. If you like it, please follow me, man. Please spread the word on social media everywhere. I'll see you on the next podcast. You guys enjoy the day, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.